Happy spooks, my dear friends. How's it going? It's me, Noble Knight Surge, with a spooky top 7 to celebrate the glorious day of spooks. Bosses are some of the strongest and hardest enemies in video games. They test everything that you have learned about the game you are playing, but there are some bosses that cause a certain feeling of uneasiness. And that is what we are here to talk about today, my top 7 terrifying bosses. The rules are simple. To make the list, the boss must have caused the emotion of fear with either how it looks, how the battle plays out, or how the boss plays its role in the story. As long as I felt the emotion of fear, it can make the list. And secondly, no bosses from games I haven't played, meaning that if you don't see a boss that left you completely paralyzed from fear, it doesn't mean that the boss won't do the same to me. It just means I probably haven't played the game where it makes an appearance. Anyway, onto the list. Number 7. Taboo, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, I know Smash Bros. Isn't a horror game. Most of the games on this list aren't, to be honest. But Super Smash Bros. Brawl was the darkest entry in the series, and alongside Melee, they're the only games in the series to have a rated T, ES, or B rating. What I mean by dark is quite literally, just look at all the edginess the game gives off. The characters look darker and angrier. Just look how mad Mario and Link look here. Also, Red, the 10-year-old, looks mad as fuck for some reason. Anyways, we're here to talk about Taboo. The way he was introduced into the story mode was amazing, showing up as a puppeteer controlling Master Hand who was giving orders to Ganondorf, who, up to the moment in the game, was believed to be the main antagonist, and then proceeding to defeat both Master Hand and Ganondorf, and one-shotting the full cast of playable characters. Taboo showed off a terrifying amount of strength by just using 3 of his moves, and his boss fight is no joke. It's considered by some to be one of the hardest bosses in fighting games, alongside that of Shao Kahn and Bison. With that being said, Taboo takes the 7th spot in this spooky list by showing off a terrifying amount of strength, and it's pretty much the only reason he makes the list. Let's see what follows though with number 6. Omega Flowey, or Photoshop Flowey. Undertale. A black screen with red flashing lights on it. Big, dark and armed looking things coming down the top of the screen, with a pincer looking object in between them. A white face pops out of the dark, with a crooked smile opening its red eyes, revealing the figure. Plant-like arms with leaves and needles. Photorealistic eyes, and the pincer looking thing? A photorealistic mouth. It lets out an evil laugh. This is what Flowey transformed into when he absorbed the 6 human souls at the end of the neutral run in Undertale. Unlike Taboo, Flowey makes the list off looks alone. The first time I saw this thing, it freaked me out, and the laughter sent chills down my spine. His fight, though, is really easy. And that's pretty much all I got on Flowey. He made the list just off looks alone. Honestly, Taboo and Flowey could just be switched around. They're both on here for a single reason. Moving on. Number 5. Anson, Kingdom Hearts. Anson the Handsome, sorry about that. Anson, the Seeker of Darkness from Kingdom Hearts. Real quick disclaimer, we're only talking about Kingdom Hearts 1 here because adding the rest of the series could ruin the reason that Anson makes the list. So yeah, we're just talking about the first Kingdom Hearts here. Anson the Wise is a name you hear a lot from the beginning of the game to the very end. He was a man researching the Heartless and was the ruler of Hell and Bastion. He was blessed with people, smiles, and respect. He was a sage. But then, you actually meet him. Revealing himself as pretty much the man behind the curtain, the whole reason that the events in the game even take place. This reveal for me showed off Anson's fall from grace. A wise man who was widely respected and loved. Let his research get the best of him, and let the darkness consume his heart. That alongside his multi-stage fight with almost no checkpoints, and his final form, are what lands Anson, Seeker of Darkness, on number 5 on this list. Number 4. SAX, Metroid Fusion. Samus Aran, the universe's best bounty hunter. How would the best of the best end up being the hunted? This is what happens in the events of Metroid Fusion, the last game in the Metroid timeline. When Samus has an encounter with the X-Parasite, this parasite attacks Samus and she seemingly takes no damage. Sometime after a battle though, the damage shows and she crashes her ship onto an asteroid belt. Turns out the X-Parasite is eating through her power suit, trying to get to her. Some scientists surgically remove parts of the power suit, and so her Zero suit fuses with the remaining parts of the power suit, creating the fusion suit. Skipping a bit of exposition, Samus finds herself fighting the parasite on the BSL research station, and when she takes an elevator to go deeper into the station, we get the introduction to that stare, the sound of those footsteps. Ugh. The SAX is what happens to the remaining pieces of the power suit in the first X Samus encounters at the beginning of the game. This thing is the ultimate hunter, chasing Samus around the station trying to destroy her. Samus, who can't even fight back at all, so all you can do is run. And if this thing finds you, well, it's pretty much game over. Oh, and did I mention that this thing reproduces asexually? And that later in the game you find out there's about a little bit above 10 of them roaming around? Number 3, Lisa Trevor, Resident Evil, The Umbrella Chronicles. The Umbrella Chronicles is on-the-rails shooter that goes through an abridged version of Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 2, as well as letting you play some certain scenarios and explaining some plot holes. The one we are using for this is Albert Wesker's escape from the mansion, where he is being stalled by the monstrous and immortal Lisa Trevor. This BOW chases you and blocks your routes to the exit of the mansion, trying to get you to die in the explosion that was coming. Her design is what makes her be so high up on this list. The BOW was created using an early strand of the G virus and a kidnapped female. She is wearing hospital robes, hands held together by wooden manacles lined with iron that she uses as a weapon, and her face, ugh. Her mutilated face is covered by flesh of her previous victims, sort of how Leatherface made his mask in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She just almost made me shit myself when I first fought her. Number 2, Marks, Kirby Superstar. Do not, and I cannot emphasize this enough, trust this derpy looking jester hat wearing motherfucker. This motherfucker takes the fact that the literal sun and moon are beating each other's ass to tell Kirby, hey, go summon the Nova. The Kirby equivalent of Shenron, the wish-granting dragon from Dragon Ball. Once Kirby actually summons Nova, Marks comes in, knocks Kirby off screen, and wishes to control all of Planet Popstar. But Nova, instead of making Marks supreme ruler and engraving that into everyone's mind, or something simple like that, Nova literally turns Marks into a fucking demon and gives him a Swiss Army knife of abilities, from spitting seeds on the ground and making them sprout into hellish vines in an instant, to splitting himself in two and making a dark hole right between himself. It's crazy. His fight is amazing and the theme music is so fitting. The scariest part of this whole scenario is the fact that Marks was super smart about this. He planned all this out and managed to trick the sun and moon to fight. He got Kirby to do all the work and summon Nova, and then just came and reaped the rewards for it. Not only is Marks a cunning and smart character, but after his wish, he's almost on par in power with Kirby, the protagonist of the whole series. And he was made into one of the boss fights in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, putting him on par with Demon Form Ganon, Giga Bowser, and Dracula. Even if he doesn't look like it, this thing is something to be feared. Number 1, Dark Link, The Legend of Zelda series. Have you ever faced the ultimate challenge that anyone could face? Facing yourself, or more like, facing your demons. Those things in your head that tell you, you can't do this. You'll never be good enough. Just give up. You can't even handle it. You'll always be alone. Etc. Well, some versions of the Hero Link have faced the incarnation of this. To be specific, the heroes that faced this challenge were the Hero of Legends, the Hero of Time, the Hero of Tracks, and the Hero of Hyrule. They each faced a shadow version of themselves, whether the battle was optional or mandatory. These heroes managed, in a sense, to defeat the doubts/evils within themselves, and expel any and all anxiety that they had. What makes this fight so terrifying for me is that I've always pictured something like this. I even had nightmares about it. Walking into a pure white room, turning around to stare down a shadow version of myself, with glowing red eyes, that knows everything I'm going to do, and exactly how to counter it. It's a battle that could last until both sides drop, neither side victorious. A battle of will and smarts, since, well, most of the Dark Link fights can be cheesed, making the fight more of a nuisance than an actual challenge. Still, being in this scenario is something I believe to be the scariest thing that could happen to anyone. And the hero has been in this scenario on multiple occasions. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day of spooks, and expect another top for both November and December. January will probably be a different type of video. Not a top, but who knows. Have a great day, and watch yourself. For tonight, the ghosts and ghouls are out there, and boy are they hungry.